Once upon a time, I may as well tell you, there lived in these parts a king with his wife and their only child, who was a little boy. One day the king said to his wife, "I think I'll go now to visit my gardens in the forest. Will you come too?" "Why, yes," answered the queen. "Let's go in our carriage." As they were driving along the forest road, what should they see but a little white napkin lying in their way? And no sooner had they seen it than the king said to the queen, "I'm going to get out of our carriage, and I'm going to pick up that little white napkin." "My dear husband," said the queen, "you are going to do nothing of the sort. It is not right to pick up whatever one finds lying in the road." "Have it your own way then, my dear," answered the king resignedly. "But I tell you what, if that little white napkin is still there when we return, I'm going to get out of our carriage, and I'm going to pick it up." Sure enough, on the way home, the king saw the little white napkin lying in the road just where it had been before, and as he had promised, he got out of the carriage and picked it up. But what do you suppose was underneath the napkin? A wicked old fairy, all dirty and covered with sores. "Now," said the wicked old fairy, "I am going to scratch your wife's 2 eyes out of her head, and you will drive her into the forest forever, and marry me in her place." And what the fairy said came to pass. Weeping as hard as ever a woman wept, the queen was driven into the forest with her little son. Never more was she to set foot in the royal palace, and the poor king, who loved the queen very dearly, but he really had no choice in the matter, was married all too soon to the horrible fairy by whom he had been bewitched. Well, the years passed, and when her son had become a good-sized lad, the poor blinded queen sent him to the king's castle. "Good morning, Papa," said the young man to his father. "My own dear son," cried the king, overcome with joy, "you must live with us from this hour. A fine, likely-looking lad you are, and we shall all 3 be happy together." It was just like the horrible fairy, his stepmother, that she should be in the room at the time, and of course she did not agree with this at all. But for the moment she only gave the lad a spiteful glance and said nothing. Some days passed while she made her plans. Then she said to the king, "That boy of yours simply does nothing but boast. Why, he says that he can find the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves." "Oh ho!" said the king, "is that so? My boy, have you been boasting that you can find the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves? If that is the case, you had better go and find it." "Father," cried the young man in surprise, "I have never boasted any such thing, but I'll go and find it if I must." So off he went, the poor young fellow, with his sack of provisions on his shoulders. After a time he came to a little log cabin in the woods. "Ben, ben, ben." He knocked at the door. "Come in," cried a voice. And then who should open the door for him but an amazingly ugly fairy, from whose mouth spread a long tongue of flame. "My poor young man," said she, "you look as though you were frightened to death of me." "Yes, I am very much afraid." "And where are you going?" she asked. "I'm going to find the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves. I wonder if you can tell me how to find it." "No," she answered, "I can't tell you myself, but I have 2 sisters who live in the depths of the forest. When you reach the first, ask her how to find the other." The young man thanked her very politely and continued his journey for another day. In the evening he came to the log cabin of the second fairy, who was even more hideous than her sister, and the flame that spread out of her mouth was as long as her arm. Why, the poor fellow did not even dare to approach her cabin. She watched him coming through the woods and saw him halt in terror at the edge of her clearing. "What is this? What is this?" she asked in a brisk and kindly way. "You appear to be afraid of something." "Indeed I am, madam. I am afraid of you. You are a terrible sight with all that fire coming out of your mouth." "Oh, don't be afraid of that," she answered. And as she laughed in a friendly fashion, a great cloud of fire and steam and smoke belched forth from her mouth and frightened the young man almost out of his senses. "But tell me, why are you wandering like this in the depths of the forest?" she asked. I'm trying to find the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves." "Well, that's easy enough," said she. "One of my sisters lives some distance from here in the depths of the forest, and she will tell you where the castle is." So off he went again, after thanking her politely, and in the evening of the next day's march, he came upon a little log cabin wherein lived the third sister, the most unsightly of them all. The flame that spread out of her mouth was so long that it scorched the trees at the edge of the clearing, and he would come no nearer than shouting distance. "My poor young man," she cried, "have you not the courage to approach my cabin? Are you afraid?" "Yes, indeed, I am very much afraid." "Well, what do you want anyhow?" she shouted, seeing he would not approach her hut. "Can you tell me how to find the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves?" "Oh, there's no difficulty about that," she replied. "The King of the Fishes ought to be here any time now, and I shall ask him where the castle is." Then she went away to the Red Sea and bellowed, "King of the Fishes! King of the Fishes!" When the King of the Fishes came, as he did very soon, she asked him, "Do you know where the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea is, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves? Have you ever seen it?" "I know it very well," replied the King of the Fishes. "It is down there, straight down through yonder clear patch of water." Then the fairy said to the young man, "Look now, take my little 2-oared boat, and you will find yourself there at once." "Thank you very much, madam," said he. The young man began to row down, down, down through the clear patch of water, which extended to the bottom of the sea. And so he got right to the castle, as close as he could, and saw 3 princesses at a window on the 2nd story. "Poor young man," said they, "where are you going?" "I am searching for the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep beneath the waves. Is it here?" "Yes, this is it," they said all together, "and we will help you to come up to us." They threw him a rope, saying, "Tie your foot." Then all 3 of them pulled at the other end of the rope and drew him up head over heels. Once he was with them in the room on the 2nd story, they all said at once, "So, there you are, and now, which one of us are you going to marry?" One of them was 15 years old, another was 21, and the third was 25. He married the youngest. That evening, when he went to bed, what should he see at the side of the room but 3 lights? He asked his princess, "What are those 3 lights for?" "Well, my dear husband, I can hardly afford to tell you." "And why not?" he asked. She answered, "I shall tell you because I love you, but you must take good care to keep it a secret. Those lights are wax candles. 2 of them are the lives of my sisters. If you were to blow them out, my 2 sisters would fall down stiff and dead." "And the other light?" "That is the life of the old fairy covered with sores who has married the king, your father. In a plate on the table are the 2 eyes which she snatched from the queen, your mother. If you blew out the candle, the mangy old fairy would fall down stiff and dead." During the night, the young man rose and went to the side of the room where he blew out the 2 candles, those of the 2 sisters. Then he quietly went back to bed. And what did he find under his bed in the morning? A handle with ropes tied to it. "Tell me, my wife, what is this for?" "My dear husband, you have only to seize this handle to find yourself transported to the castle of the king, your father, and of the wicked fairy." Rising up, the princess went to the candles and found her 2 sisters dead. "Oh, my dear husband, have you killed my 2 sisters?" "Yes, wife, it would have been bad luck for me if I had not blown out the candles. As it is, I am relieved of a great worry." The young man, who was exceedingly prompt in his actions, lost no time in seizing hold of the handle under the bed, and wishing himself carried with the round castle and all to his father's door. Meanwhile, at home, the wicked fairy suddenly began to complain of illness to her husband, the king. "Oh, how unwell I feel!" she cried. "I have pains all up and down, and in and out. Oh, oh!" "For goodness' sake," said the king, "tell me what is the matter with you." "Everything is the matter with me," she answered, making all sorts of faces and running up and down the room. "Oh, I'm terribly ill." At this point, the young man walked into his father's palace, carrying a lighted candle in one hand and a pair of eyes in the other. "Ha, you old witch!" he cried. "You snatched out my mother's eyes and sent her away to the forests. Today I have your life in my hands. Prepare to die." Thereupon he blew out the third candle, and the fairy fell down stiff and dead. "My boy," said the king aghast, "what have you done?" "Father, do you love this old hag better than your wife, the queen? Come with me into the forest to find my poor blinded mother, and we will lead her home." Both of them went in the carriage into the forest, and at last they came to the place where the poor blind queen lived all alone in her little log cabin. The sun put back into her head the two eyes which she had found in the round castle, and, wonderful to relate, after all those years she recovered her sight. The first thing she saw was the king, who put his arms around her neck with great joy and kissed her. You can well imagine that she was much more attractive than the old fairy covered with sores. So they returned together to the king's castle. The young man lived happily ever after with the princess of the round castle at the bottom of the Red Sea, 100,000 fathoms deep under the waves. And the king lived happily ever after with his dear wife, the queen. Take my word for it, never again would he think of picking up a napkin lying in the road. And as for me, they sent me here to tell you this story.